but it just wasn't going. Wanted to do this from my hardware, but unfortunately, I have to do some troubleshooting with it at the time. Probably update some drivers, maybe do a fresh reinstall of the operating system. But it seems people don't want me to have a voice or even to address a lot of the bullshit going around. But look, I don't plan on being around for 2026. And I'm not saying that out of pity. I'm not saying that to get anybody alarmed. I'm not, there's nothing like that. I am pretty firm in my convictions. And I will surrender my life for the things that I believe in, even if it means I might not see tomorrow. But there seems to be some allegations from a certain individual concerning um, conduct on my part that's over a half decade old. And I don't want to bother this person. I don't want to bring them any alarm. But I sincerely and genuinely believe that most of the allegations she's leveraged against me are not true. And this person says that they're not to blame for why I'm in the situation that I am right now. And I don't believe them because I did a live stream on a current channel, well, not this channel, but another channel of mine on September 28th. And on September 28th, this very same individual called my state and triggered this whole thing. So I don't believe them. And I know they called because the person I was talking about was the person that they have an issue with alongside me. And that was my buddy Lil Sippy, otherwise known as Nicholas Whirling. This person helped me try to sue this individual. And I'm glad this person made their videos. I really am. Because if it really is true that they testified under oath using their ex-husband's name and did not give any of their personal information to police, probation, the courts, etc., then I have to write the divisions of hearings and appeals, give them $10, get audio of that hearing where she's under oath and testifying under a name that she now claims wasn't even hers. That's perjury. That's a felony. That's also grounds for me to seek relief. Now, I want people to understand that I am not a danger to this person. I have no interest in wanting to hurt this person. I have no interest in wanting to cause them trauma. In fact, I don't even pay much attention to them until people bring them to my attention. And you know what? That's a coincidence because I think it goes the other way around as well. This person doesn't pay any attention to me until somebody brings it to their attention. We're both surrounded by brown nosers. Now, with that said, if people seem to think that I'm this psychopath that doesn't have any emotions or whatever, no, that's not true. I genuinely do feel bad that this person is suffering through their CT PTSD because I have PTSD. I witnessed a murder in 2011. I was sexually abused as a child numerous times. I also grew up in a household with domestic violence and alcoholism, and I was in special education as a child. I'm not proud of it, but I have to acknowledge these things. And that doesn't mean that you have a right to pick on me for these faults or treat me less than human, because we're all human beings. And the Gothic scene's supposed to be our home. This person seems to think I want to hurt people, but it's not true. So, as far as triggering, let's talk about triggering. I want to talk to you guys and be really honest about the things that do trigger me in the Gothic scene, okay? Vanity, narcissism, and beauty and imagery over talents, sincerity, and people who have been around for a long time and contribute a lot of things. It's, it was just October of 2025. I wasn't going to be sitting in a concrete box on the 20-year anniversary of my boyfriend's death. No, this has been going on for too long. 16 CF 985. Brian Moore. On YouTube, he's the Art of Brian Moore. Is my ex girlfriend's employer. You won't find much about him online because he tries to keep the internet clean when it comes to his name. But he used to run a company called Arkham Studios. The Edgar Allan Poe Bronze Bust Project, the Bram Stoker Bronze Bust Project. This guy has a history of scamming people and using Kickstarter to say, hey, I need you to help fund that project. But it really doesn't cost him that much money to do what he's at the things that he's asking for money to do. He's pocketing it. And I have transcripts of him saying in court that he makes his money off Kickstarter. He is the real victim of my crime. Last September, this man told me to put a rope around my neck and go out in a blaze of glory like my idol, Ross Williams. So every time this little skeeze it out of New York puts me in danger, that's what I have to put up with. All in the name of justice. This is not justice. I committed a crime against the government, not you. So I have to file pro se motions now. I have to do all sorts of stuff, and I'm not going to submit. I'm not going to submit. I will go down fighting. Now, that doesn't mean I'm going to go hurt somebody. I'm not talking about physical injuries or nothing like that, or damage to property or nothing like that. But I will stand on my convictions for what I believe in, and I'm willing to surrender my life for them. So, as I said earlier, this individual claims that they have no responsibility for why I'm in the situation that I'm in. Should I live to be put in a box for a 3 to 5 month period while we fight the DOC and revocation here in Wisconsin, I will get access to what is called a compass file that my agent keeps on me. And there are names that are blacked out, which is what I am posting on YouTube. I know who's who in that compass file. I have left this individual alone for over 3 years, and my compass file shows that she's been frantically calling my agent every other fucking month. Who's stalking who? Now, the other channel got taken down because of several reasons, mostly due to her reporting them. She's lying to your teeth. But as I've said earlier, I have no intentions or desire to want to cause any injury to this individual at all. I have left them alone since we fell out in 2019. Yes, I had a very serious mental health crisis in 2019. I am not proud of that by any means. But why did I give her that contact information? Why did I give her my agent's case number? Why did I do that? Because I didn't want to have her put in a situation to where she feels the way she does. And I said, if you feel like I am not myself, if you feel like I'm not being myself, call this number, please. Because I genuinely thought this person was going to see to it that I got the help I needed. And when I came out at the other end, I thought she'd be there saying, hey, you all right? Talk to me. Because that person at that time in 2019, I thought was my friend. You have to understand, folks, we spoke for a 5 month period. So she says, oh, my first introduction to him was him threatening to smack the shit out of me. We spoke privately, mutually, for a 5 month period. We laughed and cried together. We had some emotional connection. Now, that doesn't mean that I thought there was more to it. But I do have fond memories of that 5 month period. Not all of them are good, but the ones that I do have, I try really hard to not let them go because I think, wow, I was hoping she'd see a human side, but she doesn't see me as human. And I'm sorry that people feel that way. As you can see, I'm not in somebody's basement, but I am hiding. And I don't plan on coming out of this alive. This is it. This is my downfall. And that's okay. In fact, I find relief knowing that it's going to be over soon. Um, but I just want to talk about some good memories real quick. When she would put on mayonnaise by Smashing Pumpkins, or when she showed me the video that made fun of the band Creed, "Call You Shit with Me," and we'd laugh together at it. And I'm just trying to remember those things because I don't want to remember any sort of pain I may or may not have caused her. But I have to stress to you guys, when the paperwork she showed you that she's using to prove she's a victim, she took off a YouTube channel of ours. She got taken down. Or from our Facebook page, one of the two, because she censors my name from it. And that was me complaining to DOC, going, why do you guys have her listed as a victim of my crime and letting her come to revocation proceedings like she's my ex and their employer? Now, I have to file a sentence modification motion in the circuit court to address my bail jumping convictions and why my ex and her employer are on the judgment of conviction as victims when in my state, in the law books, violating your bond is seen as a crime against the court and the government. It's a victimless crime. My ex's employer got restitution from the bond money I posted in that in 2016, but he was not affected by the bail jumpings. In fact, a local citizen is the one who spotted me online breaking my bond and turned me into the police. So I have all sorts of post conviction stuff and legal stuff that I have to file on my own, pro se, because I can't afford a lawyer. But do you guys genuinely believe and sincerely believe that since coming out of prison in 2022 that I have dedicated every waking moment, every breath in my body to making this woman miserable? I had jobs. I had oaths and commitments to friends of mine, some of whom died along the way. The Rosnet PE CDs, I'm not trying to bring their names into this because I don't want people to think that I'm using them as a crutch or an excuse. I'm just trying to get across the fact that my focus and my viewpoints, and if you will, my mind, was not even on her. But if you open up my Compass file, which is classified, I have access to it. You don't. If I want to share it with you, fine. But anyway, the Compass file, that's what you're seeing from these uploads. That's what I'm drawing from is my Compass file. And I'm trying to show you guys, look, it's not what you think. But like I said, we're towards the end. I don't plan on living to see into late 2026. I'm going to be killed. It is what it is. I'm going to be killed by state actors. I'm not planning on hurting anybody, but I'm not letting this happen to me again. I'm not going in that room where that man smiles and cruelly tells me to kill myself again. I'm not going to be put through that. It's gotten to a point the last month and a half where I genuinely do feel like my life is in danger. I am genuinely in fear of my life. This woman in her videos has caused people to circle our pages like sharks. And I'm not even trying to do anything to hurt this person. You know what caused this whole situation in late September? I made a live stream talking about how my friend Nicholas Whirling went to prison. She doesn't like Nick because Nick rubbed it in her face. I didn't even tell him to. Nick rubbed it in her face when I got out. So she probably wonders, how did this person know where to find me? In jail, when inmates work together on legal cases, if you trust If you trust the guy next door or if you trust your cellmate, you're going to share your case file with them. In fact, and God forbid you ever have to go to prison, but it's a common thing in prison. When you walk in, the first thing you do is you say hello to your new cellmate and you lay your case file down on his bunk because that guy has a right to know who the fuck he's living with. Okay? Do you think I wanted this for my life? Honestly, I was helping my family build their house out in the land. That's what I was doing in October. Yeah, I was doing a little camping to be on the run, but I was helping my dad build a new house. And at that time, I was just so upset because this doesn't need to keep happening over and over and over again every year. So I want to get something straight to a couple of you guys. When she got me revoked in 2019 after she testified under a name that wasn't hers, and I got sentenced to 2 consecutive maximum terms in prison for bail jumping, the circuit court didn't put any rules on me. So all this, you're not supposed to be online, it's a bunch of shit. So yeah, I had to file what's called an administrative review and ask, why is she a victim in 16 CF 985? And that's the paperwork that she stole from us and shows to you and go, look, I am a victim. Wow. Is this woman a squad car? Because that's what I was convicted of, was rubbing my wrist against the squad car. There's the fucking scar. Never mind the fact that I spent 2 weeks in a hospital. They didn't commit me. They were trying to stabilize me, and they did. And I don't want to look back. I don't want to go back to that. Don't you understand? I genuinely thought in 2019 this person was trying to get me help. I genuinely thought that. I had no fucking clue the psychological damage I did to this person. And I am genuinely sorry that she feels that way. I really am. But I still remember that connection where I thought she was my friend. I don't want her to feel that way. And the fact that she does really, it pains me. It does. But you have to understand, we have no way of being, she doesn't want to hear from me, and she has that right. But given what I've told you, there's no way I can communicate that to her. I have no outlet to. Even if she doesn't want to hear from me, that's fine. But she needs to know that, like, look, that's what you believe is not fucking true. And I don't want her to live in fear of me like that. That's shitty. But you guys are probably wondering, well, why would you say that about the goth scene? Why would you say you hope some people get blocked? Listen, ever since 2007, when Sophie Lancaster was beat to death, we've been exposed to the mainstream every year against our will. Not all of us like World Goth Day. Not all of us like having to deal with this every May 14th. Not all of us like participating in a scene where DJs and models get more appreciation and time in the limelight than the very bands we love that pioneered this scene. There's something fucked up about the goth scene in the 21st century. Okay? There just is. There's something fucked up going on to where half naked sluts in corsets and DJs get more attention than musicians and artists. There's something fucked up going on, and that needs to be addressed. So just know, like, I'm not what that person said I was. And that you have to understand that in the aftermath of 2019, I got put into treatment. And then I had to take more classes and go into treatment. Furthermore, the quote, I kind of like it when a lot of people die, was a direct reference to George Carlin and his posthumous record that came out in 2016 or 2015. George Carlin is kind of one of my influences. I like his cynicism. So, yeah. Oh, and then there was another quote where I kind of took a direct quote from Manson. He's like, "You take a little baby boy and you raise him in the penitentiary. I'm Richard Milhouse Nixon. I'm Richard Milhouse Nixon, but I'm hearing him out under the ground, man." And I said something similar to her, and she literally thinks that that's who I think I am. I don't know if she thinks that way or if she's just using weird messages of mine to just paint me as that, but I'm sorry she feels that way, man. And unfortunately, when I got scared of being snitched on in 2019, I played Crazy Casey, and that's kicking me in the ass now in 2025 because she won't let it go. But for any of my friends and relatives that may see this in the future, don't remember me for this. Remember the good times, man. Remember the parties and the smoke sessions and me playing my guitar and singing and the artwork I made and my family. Remember that stuff. And to the Roz fans who followed me over the years, collect all the tapes, all of it, everything we ever did, because this story needs to be examined over and over again. You need to understand why this happened to me, and you have to understand it in all of its incredible dimensions. Because words fail. I gave my life for this cause, and I'm happy to die for Rosnet. Give me a second. It's very serious to me. I died fighting for what I believed in. I don't want to hurt anybody. I don't want to hurt this person. I'm mad at certain people, yeah, but I'm not what these people think I am. Since 2022, I have been trying to get my life back together. I used to be on Social Security disability. I haven't been for years. I was working. I had jobs. I was involved in the community. I was going outside and touching grass, you know? I mean, I actually felt like I was trying to do something good. And then I got involved with my local historical society and started digging up old films and old photographs that have been forgotten. I started going to Madison when I could and going into the historical archives up in Madison just to get stuff on my hometown. I started finding old films. I started looking for old news groups and film companies from back in the 70s and 80s going, "Hey, do you still have when you covered this incident in downtown when they cut the ribbon to open this store?" Like I was doing stuff with my local historical society. Well, you guys all thought I was an overzealous Roz Williams fan who was stuck in a fucking basement. It's very hurtful. It's very fucking hurtful. So if there is one thing I would directly say to her is I am genuinely sorry I made you feel that way and that you seem to think that I have this fixation on you when I don't. But I will say this, I genuinely think you lied. I genuinely believe that you lied. And I'm sorry, guys. I'm trying not to cry. This is really hurtful. And it's been for a while, you know. I'm trying to enjoy the time I have left with my parents because they're not. I don't have a lot of time left with them. Do you think I'm focused on this girl? No, no. But I can tell you this: I genuinely feel sad that she sees me in that light. I've been trying to get my life together, and I came so close. And yeah, I did a stream on the RWSS about Lil Sippy going to prison because some people on Reddit were talking trash about him because there was this whole Daniel Larson thing that happened. And I lied to the Reddit community going, "Oh, yeah, I'd been around him for a whole year, but really, I wasn't supposed to have contact with him because of the shit he pulled with Angela while I was in jail." And my Compass files show, like, the probation officer was checking the phone calls. the electronic messages from the tablets in jail. I never told Nick to do anything, dude. The guy went out of his way to fuck with her. And if you watch his channel, this guy trolls the Secret Service too. He is his own breed. So I hope this gives you guys some clarity. I cry for my family because I know they're when they have their house, I won't be there and I won't be there to see it finished. But I take relief in knowing that my parents knew there was something wrong with me when I was young, that there was a chance I might not be long for this world. They have a life insurance policy on me. My cremation's paid for, which upsets me because before all this fiasco spilled out beginning in this autumn, I was looking for another job and I was looking at cemeteries around my county and I was going to buy myself a plot. I also, as some of you guys know, Roz's family gave me just a necklace full of his ashes. And another option I was going to have is I was going to be cremated. I was going to buy an ossuary at a cemetery where my remains can be put in a box. And I was going to have Roz sitting there with me. So my grave would also serve as a secondary cenotaph for Roger Painter because we'd be buried together. My ashes and his, the ones that I have. This journey in my life, oh God, I can't tell you guys this stuff. It would put me at risk of revealing things that you'd be able to send people after me. I can't talk to you about it. That sucks. But this journey in my life goes back a long time. For some of you guys watching, I want to tell you a side story about a good friend of mine named Elizabeth. No, not my ex. This goes back longer than this. I got into Roz Williams in 2003, October of 2003, through my friend Elizabeth, right? I also went to school with Nicholas Nardiello Farlinger. That is Groovy's nephew from My Life with the Thrill Kill cult. In 2007, Nicholas was hanging out with my friend Elizabeth. They were doing heroin together. In her basement room, Nicholas gave her a lethal overdose of heroin. And in September of 2007, she died. You My Life with a Thrill Kill cult fans, Groovy's nephew killed one of my best friends and never saw justice for it because he died of a heroin overdose later. Now, Elizabeth's funeral was in '07 at the time of Christian Death 1334. And some of the people who were really supportive of me during that time was was Christian and George. A year later, I got Roz Williams tattooed on my back. You want to see him? Sorry about that, but you can't really see it very well because of my fishnets and shit. But this has always been a commitment of mine, and it's something I take very seriously, to the point where even the Graves family at Rosnett noticed that commitment. And as the last founder of Rosnett was dealing with his treatment for his fatal issues, we were working on preserving that project for his late husband. You know, I'm not the only person. There were other people. I can't deny that Halo knew them as well, and I can't deny that Halo wrote the code for Rosnett. But after Chris's funeral service, Halo and I fell out. The fact is, Halo never really liked me very much. He never really did. He's more loyal to John Collins and Scotty. And fuck him for that. We're Americans. We're supposed to be loyal to each other. That's the way I feel about it anyway. So I don't have the what's it called? I wouldn't say patience. I don't. I'm overwhelmed with all the bullshit right now to where I can't address everything she says, and I'm not going to pay complete attention to it. But I will say this: the whole time you watched this video, I did not use anybody's likeness image, or voice without their consent. And unlike the other person, I don't collect all their screenshots and everything from social media and sit on a thumb drive and act and wait to make a YouTube video 5 to 6 years later, exploiting their mental health crisis. The last time I attempted to take my own life was in 2019. That is not going to happen again. However, if something does happen to me, I just want you guys to know that I genuinely did love people and that I just wanted to stop the vanity and the changes in our community from overpowering it. You need to start showing love to your bands. And you need to tell these DJs you're a record player. You're not that important. You're not Peter Murphy. You're not Susie Sue. You're not Uva Hahn. You're not Ross Williams. You're not Eva O. You're not Patrick Mata. You're not Nicholas Shrek. You're a fucking DJ. And that's why we need to do this in the goth scene. We need to put that shit in check. Bands over not. You need to get your priorities straight. As far as me, I went down because people wouldn't let me live in peace. So that's what I have to say about it. And I know some of you guys probably took joy in me struggling to control my emotions. Um, but that's my side of things. I went down because you wouldn't let me live in peace. Take care of yourselves and each other. Enjoy the time with your family. Spend time with your mom and dad. Tell your brother or your sister that you love them. Spend time with your wife or your children or your spend as much time as you can. Life's too short. Life is too short. Time is so important. God bless you and take care.